Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and we're taking a look at a TUNAFIRE knife today. They don't have names or model numbers, so it's this one that we're going to review today. This is a straight back D2 steel Micarta. Looks like all their knives are Micarta. I did the unboxing for this a little while ago. Deep carry clip, liner lock. Not a big knife, not a tiny knife either. This is sort of a mid-sized knife. My hands are fairly big into the extra large range in North America, and I can still get 4 fingers just barely onto this knife. Oh, I just hope that while I'm recording this, WestJet doesn't answer the phone and I get knocked out and have to go back. I've been on the phone waiting on hold with them. The day before it was like 6 or 7 hours. Yesterday it was almost 9 hours I've been waiting on the phone. And I called them this morning first thing, and yeah, I'm waiting. WestJet, I'm going to fly home to Ontario. My mother is very ill. She's got a terminal cancer. And so I want to go visit my family. And they took my booking just fine. And then 2 days later, they changed one of my flights. And the alternative that they gave me is one that won't work for us. So I have to change the flight. They keep telling me, use the online tools to fix it. I go online, it says, no, you cannot do this online. You must call. What's up with that? They don't have enough staff? I think they don't have enough staff because they want people to use the online tools, and they're trying to frustrate the snot out of people until they use the online tools, except for I did try the online tools, and I can't get through. There's no way to talk to a human at WestJet unless you sit on hold. There's no callback feature where you give them your phone number and they'll call you back. No, you've got to wait online, which means I got to have my phone on speakerphone or next to my head for hours on end. Hours and hours and hours on end. Do you think that would interrupt your day? You know, like I said, I've taken a risk recording this. If they answer the phone, it's in the other room because, you know, you don't want to hear WestJet in the background talking. Oh, I am so angry. For those of you who are saying, well, try Air Canada, I did that. They changed my flight as well. They accepted my booking and then they changed the flights, except for with them, after they changed it, there's no possible way that I can now fly straight from Calgary to London, Ontario. And with my health issues and stuff, I don't want to be flying, you know, to Toronto and then backtracking to London. All that extra time sitting still in a compact spot, you know, my legs can't handle that. It's going to be bad enough for my body just doing the 5-hour flight to Ontario. You know, adding in, you know, another hour plus, you know, because they make you bored and then you sit there for a long time and then you fly and then, oh, I'm so pissed off. Yeah. Joy. Just be happy. But let's go to the tabletop and take a look at this knife anyways. So here you go. It comes in 3 different colors. Like I said, Micarta. It's got a texture on it, so it's a little bit grippy. I've got another knife by a new brand called Spear, and their Micarta is slick, which I do not like. But this TUNAFIRE, yeah, nice and grippy. I've got 3 TUNAFIREs if you haven't seen the unboxing, 2 folders and a fixed blade. So quite nice. This is the Ganzo G727M, same as the F727M, with a slight change with the access lock, shorter hole in terms of the length this way, but same size. This is between the size of the Ontario Rat 1 and 2, for those of you who have not been familiar with my channel. So this is a smaller knife. It's a little bit smaller than the Ontario Rat 1. Sorry, 2. The 2 is the smaller one. So that's a little bit about the size. We've got a straight back. We've got a flat grind that doesn't quite come to the spine. Just a tiny bit of jimping there. And Bandit needs a little bit of attention. And then we've got a very fine point there. The blade keeps most of its thickness to about there. And then, it starts coming down. So it's got a fairly strong tip if you're going in to puncture things. And very pointy to get in. A lot of belly here and a very short, straight section there. Effectively, there's no sharpener's choil. There's a tiny little bit of a radius right there. So that means, the first time you sharpen this knife, not a big deal, but subsequent times sharpening this knife, that section by the plunge is going to turn into a big mess. Thankfully, I know how to make a good sharpener's choil on a knife, so I'll probably just add one to this knife. Stonewash. The TUNAFIRE name on there, I don't like a lot of branding on knives, a lot of, stuff there. At least it's not too large of a font. And it's not solid letters, they're just outlined, so that's okay. And on this side, all you see is a little D2 right up there on the flat. So I'm not going to be my voice is changing. So I'm not going to get too upset with the writing on the knife, the badging and stuff. That's okay. The flipper doesn't have any jimping on it anywhere. It just works really fine. You can push back just on a bit of an angle, or a light switch method works great. The detent on this knife is quite good, so that helps the knife to have decent action. We've got steel ball bearings. I'm not going to take this knife apart. There is a teardown picture that I can show you. Actually, I'll do it right now. Take a look at that. You can see that the ball bearings are steel ball bearings. There's only 7 balls on each ball bearing. So they are very budget ball bearings. They got the phosphor bronze cage, so they're not terrible, but nothing special in there. You can see that tiny bit of skeletonizing. So the rest of the knife here, we've got, flat micarta, but then there's a chamfer or swedge, if you want to say it that way, up here on the front, and then back here on the end of the handle here. So that helps give it a bit of artistic flair and helps round it off a little bit so that fairly comfortable in hand. The edges are just slightly chamfered all the way around. And so, yeah, not bad in hand at all. Bandit doesn't like having to be in the room at the same time. Bandit is my dog. We've got these aluminum pivot collars, which add a little bit of a flair, so I like that. No problem there. We've got a nice T8 screw here, and actually I'll tell you it on the screen if this is a free spinning pivot or not. It looks like it's not, but I'll say for sure on the screen. Then we've got button screws holding everything together, and those are recessed button screws, which I do not like. I'd much rather have nice flush screws, kind of like Civivi, Kubi, and several other manufacturers do. So there's that, and they're T6. So they're small, so be careful. They might strip out easily. I'll put on the screen as well if I think these are soft, because I've not taken this apart yet, but I will before I finish editing the video. Pocket clip has also got button screws. There's not a lot of space there, so when you go to put the knife in a pocket, it doesn't always sink all the way in, but usually it sinks right to the bottom. So you have to have a very thick pocket here for it to not sink right to the bottom. And the pocket clip's not terribly large, so yeah, it hides in the pocket fairly well. No big deal there with that. But again, button screws that are not very big, which means there's not a lot of substance to them, so you better be careful that you don't strip them out. I'll also put on the screen if they've got Loctite on them or not. We've got a G10 backspacer, at least I think it's G10. It feels like it, looks like it. That's where the lanyard hole is. I like that the lanyard hole, your lanyard can come out straight out the back, because when you've got the knife in your hand like this, I don't like it bunching out the sides. And so this lanyard option is very good. I really like the way that it's made. Now for the lockup. Lockup is very good. It's nice and early without being too early. Lots of room to wear over time. Nice jimping on the top there, not too aggressive. not hot in the hand at all. Easy to get in there to push that lock over and open and close the knife. Right or left-handed works just fine. Of course, left-handed's a little bit slower because of just the way it works. Decent knife. How well does it cut? Well, I've done a lot of cut testing with it. It cuts fairly well. It's not super thin behind the grind, but it's far from being thick. It's actually a little bit thinner than the average knife that I review, so that's good. That tip lets you do delicate work, and even reverse grips if you need to are quite comfortable. So yeah, it's a good knife in terms of its nice size for EDCing. It's a nice secondary knife or a nice urban EDC. Very often in urban situations, you don't want something too terribly big. I like it. I like it quite a lot. Stonewash is my favorite finish, and so yeah, that's quite good. We don't know yet if TUNAFIRE is honest about the steel type that they use. Love Them Knives, as far as I can tell, has not reviewed or had any TUNAFIRE knives tested. So I sent him a question on Instagram yesterday, and actually I should double check if I've heard back yet. If I have, that'll be on the screen if he knows if these are genuine or not. And now let's do all of our size comparison measurements, all that stuff. The weight of this knife, 70 grams. That's 2.45 ounces. That's quite good. The factory sharpness, 55 bess. Yes, 55. And I measured it in 3 different places, and that's the average. That's very good. The cutting edge length, 80.8 millimeters, 3.18 inches. The blade length, tip to the closest spot on the handle, 76.8 millimeters, 3.02 inches. The blade thickness is 3.18 millimeters, 0.125 inches. That's exactly 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth, that's this measurement here. It's biggest right about there. That is 19.7 millimeters, 0.775 inches. How thick is it behind the grind? 0.46 millimeters, 18/1000ths of an inch. How about the grind angle? On this side, I really like the grind angle, at least for its consistency. It's about 15.9 degrees in this area, and then it switches to about 15.2 degrees in that area. So let's just say 15.5 degrees average on the length of this thing. On this side, it starts off around the tip at about 18.2 degrees, and then the rest of it's more like 15.1 degrees with a transition right about there. So that means, let's say 15.5 and about 16.5 degrees. No wonder it cuts so very well. Thin, shallow grind angle. It is not a heavy-duty knife. It's a light-duty knife. If it's really D2, it can handle being at, 16, 15 degrees per side for light-duty tasks, not including any chopping kind of maneuvers. So without doing impacting things, that's very, very well done. TUNAFIRE, very good. I think when I sharpen this knife, I'll probably sharpen it to 16 degrees per side, maybe 17, something like that. Now for the handle information. The handle length is 102.1 millimeters, 4.02 inches. So 4 inches to 3 inches, not bad proportions. The grip area, it's a bit under 9 centimeters, a bit under 3.5 inches. The handle thickness on the micarta surface is 12.2 millimeters, 0.48 of an inch. The knife handle depth, so within the grip area, it's largest right at the end of the handle, 21 millimeters, 0.83 of an inch. And when the knife is closed, it's widest right up here, 27.6 millimeters, 1.09 inches. And the total length of the knife with the blade deployed, 178.9 millimeters, 7.04 inches. Not bad. This is my first TUNAFIRE review, and I think this is a winner. What's the price on it? $23.13 American pennies. Not bad at all. free shipping to most of the world. Unfortunately, no shipping to Canada, at least not directly. So hopefully you've got some friends in America, if you're a Canadian, who can buy it and then mail it to you. If it does get inspected at the border, there's a good chance it would get stopped. I lose less than 5% of my knives at the border. So for knives that you just can't get in Canada, I have no qualms at all about buying them elsewhere and getting them imported. Even knives that are available in Canada, if the price is too high, sorry, I'm not going to pay an awful lot of money for knives just because they cost a whole lot more in Canada. It doesn't make sense to me that knives need to cost 40% more in Canada. Sure, there's more expenses in Canada, more taxes and things, but 40% more? No. And thankfully, there are some knife brands that don't charge 40% more, like RakeKnives.ca. They charge about 15% more, sometimes 20% more than the same knife in USA. So I do buy knives from RakeKnives.ca, but they've only got their own brand. And, so for other stuff, I go ahead and buy it. That would be about 30 Canadian dollars if you changed the 2313 into Canadian, about 20 euros exactly from AliExpress, and 17.25 British pounds. So I've got the link for AliExpress down below. It is a referral link, so please consider using my referral link when you go shopping at AliExpress. It really does help me out if you guys use those links. So, summary, what do I think of this thing? Pros and cons. Mostly pros. I like the style. I like the design. I like the materials. I like the finishes. Lock is good. Detent is good. Blade centering is a little bit off. But remember, this is a $23 knife. It doesn't come close to touching either side, so I don't mind that. It does use cheap screws, which I don't like an awful lot. The pocket clip, maybe it's a little big for this knife. I don't know. You can decide that for yourself. But at least, it flattens out at the top. It's not hot in hand. The pocket clip doesn't get in the way. I would like a little bit more jimping up here. And maybe some jimping on the top of the liners here for the thumb rest. So that's a change I'd like to see made with some more grip up here. And the sharpness choil. But thankfully, I know how to fix that. All it takes is I put my knife in a little vise. I've got a little tabletop vise that I've mentioned a number of times in my video. I hold it in a vise. And then I've got my Dremel-like tool, Canadian Tire Mastercraft brand tool. And I've got just these diamond-tipped shanks. And I just remove a little bit of steel and create my own sharpness choil. I like the lanyard feature back there. I don't mind back spacers. The exposed liners, nice touch, and they're nicely rounded. No sharp points anywhere. The only sharp is the cutting edge. So there you go. The TUNAFIRE brand. And yes, I'm going to try to get most of their knives because I'm quite happy. I've done a little bit of testing of the other two knives that I have from this brand, and I am pleasantly surprised at what you can get for the price. Only available on AliExpress as far as I know. Thanks so much for watching my video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. And bye for now.